These nuclear bombs would vaporize everything at its core. People, buildings, life itself.
These are very, very grave times. Come back to Tulsi Gabbard. She thinks she's making the world safer. In fact, it's the other way round. It certainly should make all of us, I think, feel a little bit less safe than we deserve to.
The bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima had a yield of just 15 kilotons of TNT, whereas today's nuclear warheads range in size from 100 kilotons to over 1 megaton. A single nuclear weapon today could kill millions in just minutes.
Here you've got Trump's director of national intelligence not only warning us about a nuclear holocaust, but singling out members of what she calls political elite, who she calls our warmongers. She doesn't give any names. We can't be entirely sure who she means, but she does point at 3 countries in particular. But in general, this is a very bizarre statement. And bearing in mind she's Director of National Intelligence, people will worry lest she is working from some kind of tip-off that, is unknown to the rest of the world.
Because as we stand here today, closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation than ever before, political elite and warmongers are carelessly fomenting fear and tensions between nuclear powers. Perhaps it's because they are confident that they will have access to nuclear shelters for themselves and for their families that regular people won't have access to.
I don't think Americans are thinking in terms of bunkers. I think they're thinking in terms of the sort of Iron Dome system, Canada, Greenland, to protect homeland America from nuclear weapons and doing it that way. But that's the United States of America. That's not us in Western Europe. The big catch for the United Kingdom is that although we have a so-called independent nuclear deterrent, we can only use it with permission from the United States. And again, what Trump is kind of indicating is that he would never give us that permission. If we were attacked, it's too bloody bad. They're safe, they're all right in America. And he can do things with the vast size of America and this kind of Iron Dome and so forth that we can't do in the United Kingdom.
So it's up to us, the people, to speak up and demand an end to this madness. We must reject this path to nuclear war and work toward a world where no one has to live in fear of a nuclear holocaust.
I think Putin will be happy because the bottom line here is that Trump is doubting the efficacy of the nuclear deterrent. I think there is a fundamental contradiction in what she's saying, and I think there's a fundamental contradiction in what Chief Donald J. Trump has been saying about the question of peace. On the one hand, this grim, this terrifying warning of a nuclear holocaust that would destroy every living thing on our beautiful planet from Tulsi Gabbard. On the other hand, the feeling that Trump does not believe in the traditional American way of keeping us safe, as Ronald Reagan put it, through strength have peace. He doesn't believe that, but rather thinks that nuclear weapons is the worst possible thing and we need to do all we can to get rid of them.
We spend a lot of money on nuclear missiles, nuclear weapons. The level of destruction is beyond anything you can even imagine. It's just bad that everybody has to spend all this money on something that if it's used, it's probably the end of the world.
People like me have been saying ever since Trump became president, the first time even, that he's actually a peacemonger, not a warmonger, and that is the danger. The peace of the world, the peace of the free world, relies on the President of the United States following a policy of peace through strength, of deterrence, of being so strong that any potential aggressor, be they Russian, Chinese, Iranian, North Korean, no, they would not stand a chance of surviving any attack on the USA and its NATO allies. And that has prevented a nuclear holocaust since 1945. But what Trump is saying is that he has a different kind of concept of security. He's not that keen on NATO, as we know. He's equivocal about Article 5, which is an attack against one is an attack against all clause. And it seems as if Trump's idea of keeping America safe has to do with land grabbing and the acquisition of countries like Greenland and indeed Canada. So he wants to keep America safe, and Tulsi Gabbard is echoing this. At the same time, it's not clear from what Trump says, not just about Vladimir Putin, not just about President Xi, but also Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of whom Trump has said he's very good friends with, that they are the kind of threat to the American administration that we here in the United Kingdom and in the European end of NATO would consider threats to us.
It's hard for me to find the words to express what I saw, the stories that I heard, the haunting sadness that still remains. This is an experience that will stay with me forever. This attack obliterated.
Many people in Europe and the UK will have been reminded of the sorts of things that we used to hear from the campaign for nuclear disarmament to undermine or appear to undermine the deterrence of nuclear weapons in such a stark way, which is consistent with what Trump has said. No doubt about that. It's totally consistent. Does strike one as being very, very bizarre. And as Tulsi Gabbard points out, Russia has more nuclear weapons than the United States now, many more diverse ways of delivering them, is at war as at this moment in time with a European country. So it's kind of asymmetric. That is to say, on the one hand, you have a United States of America with kind of roughly half the nuclear weapons there are in the world in its position, but a president who says they're so awful you could never use them, versus a Russian president who says, well, we would use them, but in the meantime, we feel safe in attacking you conventionally. So I don't believe the next world war, the next war that Russia will wage, will be a nuclear war. It will be a conventional war. Drones, cyber, all the things that everybody knows about. Behind our lines and undermining us before trying to take us over. Meanwhile, the United States of America, surrounded by Canada, he hopes, Greenland, he hopes, hard border to the south, stays in peace and secure. And what happens to Europe, well, frankly, Americans couldn't give a damn about that. That's the message that Tulsi Gabbard is giving us. And we should not forget that nuclear weapons have kept the world peace. It sounds horrible. And the pictures, of course, on in Tulsi Gabbard's video are horrifying, and rightly so. 300,000 people killed in Hiroshima in a flash of light. That is all terrible, but it is that terror that has kept the peace. Get rid of those weapons and you don't get peace, you get war.